Single detective Cole Freeman is out in space searching for the missing research ship Atropa. He plays chess with himself and reviews the crew's personnel files. Captain Robert McKay, scientist Jacob Sanders, mechanic Andrew Jensen, medic Moira Williams. Suddenly, the danger alarm goes off. Cole's ship literally bumps into an unidentified ship. The man tries to contact the ship but gets no response. It is only as he approaches the ship that he reads its name in excitement, Atropa, though it simply cannot be. Cole switches to manual control and goes to the Atropa. He finds the crew asleep in anabiosis. Then he checks the control system, reading excitedly the date on the display, the 15th of March, 2122. He wakes the crew and explains that the ship has been off the radar for 38 days and attempts to contact them have been unsuccessful. The problem is that it's not the 15th of March, but the 9th of June. Cole wasn't expecting to catch up with them until 98 days later, and that's hardly a coincidence. The man introduces himself. He's an officer, serving at the Forge Valley outpost, where the Atropa flew out from as well. Moira tries to say something about the detective but fails. The ship shudders on impact. And the next moment, people realize that the ship collided with another spaceship, which turns out to be completely identical to the Atropa. People make their guesses. The exact same ship was built, but they chose the name themselves. Are they the same people in the ship? Jensen reports that their ship has lost all external communication equipment, so they can't send any signals. And on top of that, the detective's ship has undocked from the impact and is now drifting out of range. But the worst part is that they're running out of oxygen, and in 9 to 10 hours, they'll just suffocate. And then Cole offers a rescue option. They need to get to Atropa 2. He asks them to prepare a magnetic rope and puts on a spacesuit. The commander notices the gun and asks to keep it, but Cole refuses. He will have the gun with him. Moira walks Cole to the exit. It becomes clear that they were close, but the woman left on a 15-year mission without saying a word to him. But he had to find the team in the first place. Now he has to get to the other ship. The detective opens the airlock, flies the cable over the second Atropa, and goes inside. Inside, it looks as if there has been an accident. There are no lights and no gravity. Cole surveys the room and finds a picture of Moira with the captain, which causes them to be surprised. The man moves on. The crew directs him, for inside, the ship is completely identical to their ship. Cole tries to tap into the terminal and discovers there are no escape pods. But where could the crew have gone? And then Sanders discovers that the second Atropa flew a parallel course and stopped at the same time as the first ship. But then how did they collide? Cole and the others hear an incomprehensible sound for a long time but can't figure out where it's coming from until the detective reaches the passage leading to the escape pods. He goes there and finds the body of Sanders, and then the next minute the explosions begin on the stern of the second ship. Cole, having grabbed the body found, barely makes it back to the Atropa when her double explodes. Moira meets the detective and brings him to consciousness. But Sanders, seeing her doppelganger, becomes hysterical and has to be sedated. Later, Cole is upset remembering the loss of his ship. Moira sympathizes but worries about a way out of the mess. The man reassures her they will find a way. The woman leaves, but the captain catches up with her. Why did you hide the fact that she has a husband? But the woman cuts the conversation short. Cole, meanwhile, goes to the bathroom, sees the photo of Moira and the captain, and breaks the mirror in anger. Jensen reports that he's picked up signals from the navigational beacon, but they're very strange, accelerated and played backwards. But the thing is, the beacon is working correctly. They're the ones going backwards in time. The machine displays a clear diagram of the ship's movements. Atropa seems to have slowed down in time, so the detective was able to catch up with them 3 months ahead of the estimated time. The computer was able to scan the size of the anomaly. Their ship is deep inside an area with a distortion of space-time with an extreme warp, and that region has no rules. They died in space, but they're being carried back in time, and soon they will be facing themselves in the future. He doesn't know how to stop it. They need air and engines and Sanders, and he can't tell how they can choose to go the other way. Meanwhile, Moira discovers that Sanders of the Atropa 2 is dead from bullet wounds, and on her desk, the Cole's gun lies. The same gun is being cleaned by Detective Cole Freeman at the outpost when he's informed that the Atropa ship is missing and that Moira is among the crew. He rushes to the search despite the prohibition of his superior, who wonders why he is separated from his wife, and informs him that he will not be able to trace the departure from Bay 12. Here's Cole and Moira in bed. The woman gets a call and runs off to work, promising to make it up to her in the evening. Cole picks up a gun and goes to meet Moira's brother, Mason. He coaxes his friend. His sister has their whole life planned out years in advance, a beach house and a couple of kids. The partners go to the kitchen where they communicate with a first-generation robot. They track down a substance dealer and know that he has rented an android for a while. He gives them the right address. The detectives go there and get into a shootout where Mason is killed, for which Cole shoots the suspect, but he himself gets arrested. Later, he hands Mason's body locket to Moira and she leaves. The chief is informed of Cole's unauthorized fight and given the detective's badge left for him. On the Atropa, Moira informs the crew that the DNA of the deceased Sanders II is a perfect match to their comrade, and he was killed by Cole's gun. But how's that possible since he didn't fire it? The captain offers to put the gun away and asks Moira to wake Sanders up. But Jensen reminds him of the escape pods, which are a good option. The captain, on the other hand, is against using them. Then all we have to do is wait. It's a dead zone, so I don't think anyone's coming. Sanders is the only one who can help. Moira wakes up the scientist, but he suddenly grabs a scalpel and takes Jensen hostage. He is sure that Cole will kill him and wants to prevent it. After injuring the mechanic, the man runs away. The detective and the captain go after him. The gun is left lying on the table, and Moira hides it in a closet. The captain and Cole search for Sanders and discover a crack that will apparently lead to a fire like the one on Atropa 2. They inform Moira that they can't find Sanders. During their conversation, Jensen disappears. Immediately, the launch signal for the escape pod comes on. That's Jensen flying away. He apologizes over the comms for his behavior, but he wants to live. The second capsule manages to block it. Those remaining on board watch as the capsule is attracted by the ring's gravity. Apparently, Jensen didn't provide coordinates. Cole asks to zoom in, and the next moment they realize that the ring around the planet is made up of 1 million of the same escape pods. This means they've been here before and are experiencing it all over again. Time revels in their torment, but Sanders is still on the ship. He can restore the ship's system. They can make a difference and try to break out of the vicious circle. The people disperse to find the scientist. In just 30 minutes, the gravity should shut down. And then Cole confesses that he only came here because of Moira. She's shocked. Does this have to be discussed now? And after all, he's the one who left her alone with her grief. The detective apologizes. He couldn't do it because he stopped believing in his powers. Atropa begins to pass out and locks Cole in the medical bay. The captain rushes to help and falls into Sanders' hands. The scientist wants to flee the ship and takes the key, a map, from the captain. Moira runs after him and tries to talk the man down, but the man is sure it will be Cole who kills him. Then the captain runs up. The two of them hold the scientist, urging him to come to his senses and try to fix the system. Meanwhile, Cole finds his gun and fires it through the door, but Sanders picks up the scalpel and stabs the captain in the chest. A stunned Moira covers the deceased, then snatches the gun from Cole, who has come running in and points it at Sanders. The detective asks for the gun, and the woman suddenly realizes she was the one who killed Sanders. And then Cole remembers the broken mirror, but it was intact on that ship, so something has changed. Time was just asking not to make the same mistake again. No one sent him here. He flew here to tell me there was a choice, and now Moira can choose. The woman puts the gun down. Sanders rushes to the core of the system and manages to start it, but only temporarily. Cole and Moira discuss what happened. What have they done and how will it change their fate? The system stabilizes, and then they can hear a call on the outside comms. And they see Atropa? The detective puts Moira in the escape pod and hands over his badge. The other Cole will believe it if he sees it. He goes back to Sanders himself. They can't stop the process, but they can break time. The two ships collide. Cole closes his eyes and sees Moira and his two sons walking with him by the sea. Then he disappears in the fire of the explosion. Moira holds out her dog tag to the visiting Cole and hugs him. They can fly home. Classic, pure sci-fi. no horrible monsters, and ultra-laser gun battles. A true gift of fans of works in the style of the unforgettable Arthur Clarke, well worth watching if you're interested in science and space technologies.